Hey everybody. I'm not great and wanted to do something that I haven't done before, and that is I wanted to give a review for a game. Um I play a lot of great games, and most of the time when I do, the game has probably been out for a while. And there's no point in reviewing it. All the reviews are in, and most people know exactly what they're getting into when they get into a game. So that's why it's fun getting into the pre-release version of Have a Nice Death and being able to sit down with it. I picked it up just a couple of days before Christmas, and it was on a nice little sale, and it's pre-release, so it's probably a little bit less expensive now than it will be in the future. Um, but even so, just the having the opportunity to play it and be one of the I'm not going to say I'm one of the first. I'm not even going to be one of the first to review the game, but just being able to get in, at the beginning and watching the game develop is a lot of fun. But I've played it for close to 10 hours now. Done a couple of runs. Like on the screen, we're in the Modern Warfare department. And this is from the playthrough where I reached the Modern Warfare department first. Um, it took a little bit of damage there. It wasn't the cleanest it could have been, but it wasn't bad. Um, but yeah, I've gotten far enough in the game that I feel like I've gotten enough of a grasp to give at least like a preliminary review. Um, and to talk about the game a little bit, because it's a lot more than just a roguelike. Now, if you're looking at it and you're watching this is a couple levels in. I don't even know how many stages are in a full run. But this area was pretty long, and having played as many hours as I have, and then also having accomplished a fair amount of things in the game, and kind of seen how it develops and where it goes. Um, yeah, I really wanted to stop and talk about it because there's some really cool stuff about this game that needs to be kind of pointed out and talked about. And so since it is in pre-release, since it is fairly new, I figured, why the hell not? I'll give it a shot. So I guess the best place to start is the beginning. So the basics like gameplay and sound and visuals and all that stuff. Um, Basic stuff, and you're looking at it right now, and what you're seeing is a game that's kind of a mix. Um, it's like if you were playing Hollow Knight, but the game engine was Dead Cells. So you've got this really nice, like it's a limited color palette for the most part. And so when something colorful does come up, it really, really pops. And it's not just in like blacks and whites, but it's shades of gray, and the grays have different like tints and like tinges to them of blues and reds and greens. Like here, like the foreground, the background art, um you've got those like the just that little red glow. And that works for this area because this is like a war zone area. So it looks like, a war zone. And the enemies, you got them in black and white, but they have their own little highlights. And whenever they get stunned, they've got the little stars that pop up over their heads that are bright yellow. Whenever you're poisoning something, you get this like nice, noxious green. The explosions down here are oranges and yellows. Um, yeah, and your power ups like right there. Your power ups, you have a bright blue shining dot. Um, so it's got a really good aesthetic to it. Um, the the graphics are detailed without being overly cluttered. Um, there are one or two areas that I've looked at that sometimes the little foreground occlusions maybe pop up a little bit too far. I don't know if that's actually interfered with anything in the gameplay that I've had so far. It may have hidden like one or two secret areas, but I honestly couldn't. I didn't notice. I looked and was like, well, I don't know. I can't confirm it. But maybe like every now and then they stick out just a tiny bit too far, and it's fine. Um, these environments are meant to resemble like neglected and just disaster areas. Like if the afterlife was a bureau, oh, there, I just passed the secret thing. I should have. Oh well, whatever. Um, I'm watching my video as I speak. Like if the afterlife was a bureaucracy and all of the departments had just like gone to hell. That's what this game is, and this is the guy who's in charge of this area. He looks like a tiny little general. Like if you see the general car insurance commercials, it looks like that, but like on meth. Um, Nice stun there, me. I should stop. I'm not reviewing me, I'm reviewing the game. Come on, focus. So, love the visuals. Sound wise, it's it's a game with good ambient music. Pretty simple sound effects stuff. Like nothing fancy, but nothing that really detracts from the experience either. You've got your combat sounds, which have a nice heft to them without being overbearing. You've got your kind of ambient music, which is different for every area. You even have like your elevator music and your break room music and your war zone music, and it all works. Um, let's get to mechanics. The mechanics of this game, the way that it feels, is tight and fast. Like if you cranked up the speed dial on Dead Cells to 11, well, we'll say if you cranked it up to like if you doubled it basically, because Dead Cells is a pretty responsive game, but it's also it's not. It has a slower pace than this, and I know I'm using Dead Cells as a comparison a lot here, but it really does feel like you're playing Dead Cells and Hollow Knight, or playing Hollow Knight and Dead Cells, or one of those two combinations that means the most. Um, so it's like if you look at the jumps and the gravity on the jumps, like there's no floating, there's no kind of like you feel like you're fluttering through the air, and it's like you go up, you go down. And it's the same with your attacks. Like your attacks are super responsive. There is a little bit of timing that you have to get down. Like to discourage button mashing to a point, you have to work on timing a bit, but even that timing is just like super fast. So it's not a big deal if you start panic button mashing. But you might mess up some of your combos, or you might lock yourself out of a combo with one of your secondary weapons that you would otherwise want to have. And speaking of weapons, you've got your main weapon, which is your scythe, which comes in a handful of flavors. Um, just a couple flavors. The one that I have on right now is kind of like a long range scythe. It's like a scythe on a rope, basically. Scythe on a string. So you can get in some really good like pull combos. There's your standard, which has like decent DPS, decent range. You've got your heavy stuff. You've got your super fast with a super short range. Lots of different things for your main weapons. But then you've also got, you can hold up to 2 secondary weapons. Well, technically you can hold 3, but you can use up to 2 secondary weapons at a time. And here I've got a dagger on, and I've also got this like paperwork tornado. Which all of the weapons and all the names of like the upgrades and things, they all tie in to the central theme of the afterlife and the harvesting of souls having been like commercialized to make it more efficient, but everything goes to hell. And the guy who did all of this like optimizing, which is death, ends up being like shoved onto the back burner in a bureaucracy that overtakes him and burns him out. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. So you can hold up to 2 weapons. There's lots of different weapons. You have ranged weapons. You have like some big nuki ranged weapons. You have some little DPS ranged weapons, like the nuki ones. You can fire off like one or two, maybe. Um, the little DPS ones you can fire off like four or five. You'll see up in the top left, you've got your health, which you can pretty reliably increase your max HP as you play the game. And then you can also pick up like items like I just said with that coffee to to heal. But you'll notice now's a good time to look at it. Like my health bar is mostly white, it's mostly full, but there's that little gray section. And just a second ago, or about 5 seconds ago, if you rewind, there was a black section as well. So you have two different types of heals in the game. You've got like regular heals, which will heal the white part up to the end of the gray part. And then you've got like pure heals, which will heal the white part, but will also heal the gray part so that the gray part starts to fill up more of the black part. So you have like two max HPs basically, depending on how you heal. And it's a really cool system. Like some attacks, see, here we go. You got the white, the gray, and the black. Some attacks that you take will hurt just you, and some of them will actually hurt your maximum HP until you find something to boost your max HP. It works really well because it's kind of like a double punish for not being on your dodges and on your attacks and on your stuns. It's a lot of fun. Then you have an MP gauge as well. You can pretty reliably increase the maximum for that as you go as well. And it recharges fairly quickly. Like it's enough of a delay to make you strategically plan when you use your MP. And not all of your special abilities, they're like they call them your cloak weapons, like your special abilities. Not all of them use MP. A fair amount of them do, a fair amount of them don't. It's a good split. So you can pick up a weapon and there'll be a little bit of a randomization on it. Like you pick up the dagger, and if it's early game, you'll pick it up and it'll be like level 0. And then later on, or if you have like a really lucky roll, it'll be like level 1 or 2, or a maximum of level 3. And there are places where you can go and you can spend your in-game currency, which is called your solary. Or you can spend, they're called, I think, Prisma Stones, something like that, to upgrade your weapons. Or you can spend your currency at a shop and buy like heals, or buy a chance to get a special augmentation cards called curses. They're not really curses. They don't really do much bad stuff, except some of them do, and we'll get to that as well. And then also in the top left corner of the screen, you'll see that there are 2 yellow triangle or diamonds, and then 1 blue diamond. Each of those can be filled with either yellow or blue. Those are your heals. So you tap your left bumper and you use a heal. You'll use your small ones automatically first, and your small ones are the blue ones. And the big ones are the yellow ones. And the yellow ones, like the blue ones will just heal your HP. The yellow ones will also heal the grayed out part of your HP bar. So they're very good to have. And if you fill up your bar with blue and then you pick up another blue, it's I'm trying to think of what they're called. Anima. There we go. They're called anima. So if you pick up a 4th blue whenever you only have 3 slots and they're already filled with blues, it'll turn one of your blues to a yellow. But if you have 3 yellows and you pick up another blue or yellow, I don't think it does anything for you. If it does, I haven't encountered it yet. So we'll put it that way. How about that? Over on the top right, that first number is your solary. That is your run, and I just picked up a bunch right there. That's your currency for the current run. So that is a currency that goes away once your run is complete. You don't get to take it with you. At least not at the point of the game that I'm at. Maybe eventually you'll have an upgrade, kind of like in Dead Cells, that'll let you keep some of your cells. That might come later. It might be added to the game later, for all I know. But that's what it is right now. And you can see the time that I've got going up there too. You've got the Prisma Stone, the Prisma Stones, which you can use those to buy anything. There's like, you just hand one over and whatever you're trying to buy, they'll just give it to you. You don't have to spend any real currency. They are harder to find, but they're way more valuable. And in fact, whenever you get to certain areas, you want to upgrade your scythe. The only way to upgrade your scythe, like to fundamentally change, not just level it up, but like upgrade it, like evolve it, is to use the Prisma Stones. Um, and then going back to the top left again, you see that purple diamond that's there beneath our weapons. That is your basically your rage meter, and so with your scythe or with either of your two bonus weapons, like your cloak weapons, whenever that thing is full, you can just unload out the special attack, and it's glorious. Um, and every weapon has its own kind of special attack. Um, for example, I was using the daggers earlier, and the special attack on that dagger that I have is that it makes you invulnerable for a certain amount of time, which is really handy for boss fights and for the little um, planned skirmishes that you can come across. You know, where they close off like a little section of the stage and you have to defeat a certain amount of enemies in a certain amount of time, or just defeat a certain amount of enemies before it opens up again, and blah, 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 blah. Take no prisoners, yes. This is the boss that ended this run for me, but it was my fault and not as much his fault. He didn't do hardly anything. He just bounces around and explodes things. I just lost track of my health. And you'll see that here in a second. See, there I go, invulnerable, and then I'm calling on my paperwork cyclone. I'm hitting him with my scythe. Here in a second, I may use the knife to like give him a little stabby stab. Lost my invulnerability there. But yeah, great mechanics. Good pacing. Like the combat feels fast, but the bosses all have like, good patterns. The bosses actually oftentimes, I found one boss, the first boss of the first area. His name is Brad. He is a very Brad person. He's like the security guy who's not doing his job. And there we go. I've found that he actually has two different versions of himself. Like after you've killed him a couple of times, you can fight an upgraded version of him as you go through the game. And I'm going to assume that many of the bosses, if not all the bosses, may have something similar to that. I don't know that yet. I do know that's true for Brad though. And, Brad is definitely a Brad, not a Chad. Kind of a Chad. Anyways, and so you see here at the end of a run, you tally up points, you get a level up. You may have seen the little gold ingot thingies that we got for our achievements in the run. Those are your permanent currency, and you use those to unlock upgrades permanently. Like, being able to choose between two different types of scythe at the beginning of a run, or three different types, or unlocking like certain types of weapons or foods, or they're called contracts, where you start a run and you can sign a contract that's like, well, here we'll automatically give you this like special weapon, or we will automatically like, if you can kill this many people in this many minutes, you'll get this bonus, and if you don't, then you'll be hit for like 30 HP, stuff like that. And here you see me buying those upgrades and like unlocking those weapons. And you see that there's a really nice discount system where if you fulfill certain criteria a certain number of times, then the cost, which is generally pretty high of most of this stuff, will go down in increments. And if you fulfill all of the requirements, then the price can go down by up to 95%, like we just bought with that scythe right there, or that upgrade right there. So there is that. The story of the game, like the theme of the game, is that you're death, and you're a part of this bureaucracy, and you are burnt out because you found a way to make this system more efficient. And you built this system, and eventually the system like overwhelmed you to the point where you weren't doing any of the work anymore. You're just like stamping paperwork. And you don't have time to look over the people that you hired on, and they've basically like taken over the company in a very hostile way. And by a hostile takeover, I mean violently. And it feels like there's somebody like in the shadows lurking who's trying to usurp you or something. That could very easily be a thing. I don't know that for certain, but that's what it feels like. And, we'll find out as the game goes. So I'm not in a position to spoil anything for the game because I haven't really found spoilery stuff. But you go through all these different departments. You start off in it's kind of like the basic bureaucracy office sort of department, but you can go to like there's a food department, there's a drug and like addiction department. Um, there's lots of weird stuff. Like we're on the modern warfare department. There's a disease department. Yeah. So it's and every level has a theme, and all the enemies are there, and they're tweaked like to that theme. Like even the recycled enemies are redone and different according to that theme. There we go. Like this area right here is the food themed area, like fast food. You can see like towers of hamburgers and food and like tacos and hot dogs in the background. The enemies are look like little like fast food boxes, or in some cases there's like a big ass hamburger. You kill these guys and there's a little there's like a soft drink dude, like a, a soft drink cyclops. And then these guys are like I don't know, like they're gumball dispensers or like pepper shaker. There's something like that. They're shooting something hot into the air, and yeah, it's all food themed. You get the idea. Um, but it can get really disturbing as well. Like you go to the addictions department, and you're fighting like a bunch of pills and stuff, but you also fight some of the basic enemies from the first area. Except instead of looking normal, they look like they're all tweaked out. Um, and you go to like the modern warfare level, and this is the thing that made me want to do a review. Like you go to the modern warfare level, right? And you saw like there's guys who have like shoot off missiles and stuff. But there's also like little girls or small children. I think they're little girls that like drop landmines, and it's like super reminiscent of like the Vietnam War era stuff, and just like it it's not just there for show. Like it's there to make a statement about the area that it's supposed to be representing. And so you have like the super like tweaked out enemies in the addictions area. And you have like the fast food containers and this sloppy stuff. And the burger boy boss in the fast food area, and you have like you know kids dropping landmines. And it's not meant to be like, oh, this is cute, this little kid with a landmine. It's like, no, that's actually like legitimately a serious problem in some places in the world. And it's a really cool commentary on it, because it really is like it's a game about death, and it's this silly story about death and bureaucracy, but it's also like about actual death. And so it kind of ties in, and as you go through the game, like they kind of become more and more serious, even though the character designs are kind of cartoony and comedic and everything, but it really does make kind of a statement, and I thought that was really cool. Let's see. Moving on from there. We've got the story, we've got the gameplay. I don't think I touched on curses. Curses are your upgrades. See the giant burgers. Curses are your upgrades that you can get throughout your run. They're little cards that you pick up that give you a bonus. Like the one that I have here. I have a couple at this point in the run. But the one I have right here, it puts an arcane attack bonus on things. So whenever I hit them 5 times, they explode. And it does a bunch of arcane damage. And eventually I get one where if I kill an enemy, it explodes into a poison mist, and that's also pretty cool. But they augment your abilities. Sometimes they come with penalties. Sometimes they don't. And sometimes they're bigger or better. It just depends not only on your luck, but also what path you take through the game. Like if you choose to go to the fast food place instead of the fitness place, then there's different cards that you're going to get and different enemies that you're going to find. And beating that level, like if you go to the fast food place, like it'll upgrade like the next types of green cards that you get. But if you go to the fitness place, it'll upgrade the next type of red card that you get. And it's all stuff that you can factor into your gameplay. Yeah, yeah. No, that covers about everything. Like just to recap, the too long didn't view version. Like Great feelings about this game, really high hopes, really loving my experience so far. Um, there's a lot of surface level awesome to it. There's a lot of kind of, you know, behind the scenes and between the lines levels of awesome to it as well. And it is a game that can be there are lots of different levels to appreciate it on. So that's where I'll leave this, as I've already been talking for 25 minutes. Um, don't need to talk at you anymore. Give it a shot yourself. See if you like it. Like, watch some videos and shit. But if you're a fan of games like Hollow Knight or Dead Cells, I highly recommend it. Definitely pick it up and yeah, see if you can play better than I do. That's all I got. So have a good one.